Okay, Katha Krafters, please tell us about yourselves and tell us a story, and you have the stage.
Thank you. So,
We
Katha
start this
Krafters.
session with a song written by Tagore.
For that, I will need co-host rights. I'm not able to share.
Okay. Then we just leave it at that. Okay. Welcome to Timeless with Tagore, a performance of Tagore's masterful stories. I'm Parvati Ishwaran, and I'm enthralled to present to you a tribute to the master storyteller, philosopher, poet, Rabindranath Tagore, known in short as Tagore. Tagore's stories will take you through the many emotions we feel. We can connect effortlessly with his deep and layered characters, even though the stories are set in the early 20th centuries. Each of his stories will transcend time and find its place in your heart. This program is brought to you by Katha Krafters. Katha Krafters is a coming together of four creative, passionate storytellers: Meera Venkatesan, Anagha Prasad, Geeta Subramanian, and myself, Parvati Ishwaran. We specialize in curating theme based creative performances for occasions in addition to training and storytelling for adults and children. I will now call upon Geeta Subramanian, an educator and a passionate storyteller, to narrate Ginny the Housewife. You're on mute, Geeta.
Sorry.
Ah.
Shivnath was the class teacher. By look, he was looking gentle, with a clean shaven face and closely cropped hair. But the very sight of him terrified the children. He used to punish the children very badly and slap them very hard. Often, he used to complain to the students that in olden days, people used to respect the teachers as God. But nowadays, you students, you never respect the teachers. Oh my, with his wild behavior, can anyone imagine comparing him to any God? Yeah, yes, of course. There is only one God with whom we can compare. You are right. Yama, the cruel God, the God of death. He had a powerful weapon of torturing the students by giving them the nicknames. Although the name is nothing but a word, but people generally love their names than themselves, right? So the students felt very hurt when Shibnath called them by some funny nicknames. Ashu was the goody of the class. He never complained about anything to anyone. He was shy, maybe because he was the younger than others. And whoever says anything, he never responded. No reply. He just smiled gently and he would move away from that place. As soon as the bell rings, he used to go home straight. Nothing, nowhere, nobody. He never talked to anyone. Aha. One day, Ashu came to school late. Shibinath asked him, why did you come to school late? Ashu did not give any answer. You know why? Because for Ashu, everything is very personal. His parents, his brothers, sisters, family, everything is personal. Actually, his grandfather was not feeling well. So he had to be there to attend his grandfather. But he did not want to tell that answer to the teacher. You know, because everything is personal for him. So he just kept quiet. Shibanath got very angry. Get out of the class, screamed Shibanath, and made him to stand outside the class, where? On the step, so that everybody can see him. Poor boy. He was standing there with the head down. It was an eclipse day. A holiday was declared. The day was very cloudy, wet, and few people who were passing by, they were carrying the umbrella, and nobody could identify anybody. Ashu had a little sister, and Ashu was the only playmate for her because she didn't have any cousin or friend of her own age. Ashu and his sister planned to play, and they planned to organize a wedding for Ashu's sister's doll. So they made all arrangement, decorated the house, and tied the paper festoons, everything. And Ashu was going on giving instruction to the sisters. To the sister, do this, do that. And suddenly the sister asked, who could be the priest for the wedding? And whom to ask? Ashu said, wait, I'll think about it. And he went inside to bring some sweets. And when he was just entering, he saw a gentleman standing in front of the house, taking shelter from the rain. And his sister was talking, uncle, would you be the priest for our doll's wedding? Ashu was wondering to whom she is talking to. When he saw, he was shocked. It was none other than his teacher, Shibanath, standing, holding his umbrella. Ashu ran inside the house, leaving the game, leaving the sister. He thought, oh my God, my holiday is ruined. The next day, the following day, Ashu entered the school, but he was hesitating a lot because he knew what Shibanath's reaction is going to be. He was tensed a lot, expecting definitely something, bad behavior or something like that from Shibanath. So very slowly he went to the class, stood in front of the class. And as Ashu expected, Shibanath said, oh, here comes Ginny, the housewife. And he described the whole thing, whatever he saw on the previous day. Initially, all the rest of the boys in the class, they just smiled. But later, during the break, they all gathered around and danced, calling him Ginny, 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 the housewife. Ashu could not longer. He could hold back his tears. The tears was rolling on his cheeks. He put his head down, thinking, playing with a little sister on a holiday, is that most shameful thing in the world? How long it took for that little boy to come out of that painful feeling. The story appealed to me as an educator. When we hear the word bully, the picture of big where children come to our mind. But is it true? Please share your thoughts in the chat box. Tagore's childhood was spent in a joint family and all with his all learned brothers, nephews, nieces, cousins from different parts of the world. For young Rabindranath Tagore, the regular formal schooling was a boring. Rather, he learned a lot from his cousins and brothers. So he found that regular schooling boring because of some irrelevant questions asked by the teacher. And also, he did not like the harsh behavior of some of his teachers. Could that be the inspiration for him to write the story Guinea? Possible. So the next story is brought to you by Anaga, a storyteller who pursues her twin passion of fitness through yoga and storytelling with equal enthusiasm. She will be narrating Aprajita, the unknown woman.
Anupam Baba, come for lunch. That was a mother calling out to her son. Do you think the son was a small boy like Ashu? No, he was a grown up man, probably young adult, but he was pampered by his mother. He lost his father when he was very young. Mother pampered him and made sure that he had a beautiful life. But who managed?
Even some beautiful song in between. How does he sing?
Who managed everything outside the house? Well, it was his mama, the maternal uncle, who was just a couple of years older to Anupam. Anupam just studied, read, enjoyed what his mother made for him. By the time he was 19 and he was in college, like most of us, there was a flutter in his heart. He wanted to get married and fall in love and be with his woman of life. But how to broach this topic to his mama, who was very strict? Around the same time, his friend came back from Kolkata and said that he saw a girl in Kolkata who was very beautiful and also a girl who would be apt for Anupam. I cannot tell this to Mama. Would you go and tell it? Anupam told his friend. Said, okay, fine. I can do this for a friend, isn't it? He went to his mama and said, Mama, I saw this girl. I know, Mama, you're not interested in the girl. All you need are the details of the family. The family is a very good family, a well-to-do, but now in financial distress. They had to move from Kanpur to Kolkata. But don't worry, all that they have, they will give it to their only daughter. Mama was very happy and said, let's fix this alliance and let's go ahead with the marriage. Anupam was so happy. His heart missed many beats. And he waited and waited. And the day of the wedding came. He dressed himself, wore a lot of jewelry, the mukut and the dress of a groom, did himself look quite handsome, but too much of jewelry and looked like a walking jewelry store. But that didn't deter his enthusiasm and happiness. The groom party left and they reached the mandap. He was very happy, but his mama wasn't. What kind of a decoration or a hall is this? Not up to our standards. And he went inside. Anupam, nothing mattered to him. He went and sat right in the middle of all the crowd, waiting for the ceremonies to start. And in a few minutes, he saw his would-be father-in-law following his mama, maternal uncle, to a room. wondered what it was, but forgot about it. A few minutes later, his would-be father-in-law Shambhunath Babu came and stood right in front of Anupam and said, Anupam, I want you to come with me to the room. Anupam very diligently, like always, just got up and followed him to the room. And as he went inside, he saw that his mama was with their family jeweler. Anupam, your mama wants to test all the jewelry that I am going to give my daughter. Do you have anything to say? And even before Anupam could fathom what's happening, his mama said, my word is final in this family. He doesn't have a say in this. Are you sure, Anupam? His would-be father-in-law asked. Anupam just hung his head. Shambhunath Babu got his answer. He went and got all the jewelry that he was giving his daughter. It was tested, and the gold was purer than the purest gold can be. Mama got up and said, very well done. We can start the ceremonies now. Shambhunath Babu looked at Mama, looked at Anupam and said, Namaskar, you can leave. What kind of a joke is this? Said the Mama. It is not a joke. I cannot give my daughter in hands to a family who suspect that I can cheat my daughter. Please leave. The groom's party was infuriated. They left. And they were bickering and scolding. What kind of a man is that Shambhunath Babu? Anupam went alone into the room. Looking outside the window, thought, what kind of a father is he who can cancel his own daughter's wedding? Who will come for his daughter now? I am sure in a few years, months, he will be here on his knees begging me to marry Kalyani. Kalyani. What a loss for her, isn't it? Would she be pining for me too? Would she be missing me? And his thoughts lingered on. A few weeks later, he got to know that Kalyani had got many alliances and she had rejected all of them. Anupam thought, there she is waiting for me. I'm sure Shambhunath Babu will be here. Months passed, weeks passed, years passed. Nothing happened. Anupam took his mother on a pilgrimage. They were in a train. The sound of the train, the breeze from outside, the night breeze, made Anupam just sleep. The train came to a halt in a station. He barely opened his eyes when he heard, "Ikhane jagya ache." He was wide open as soon as he saw or heard that sound. He peered into the darkness to look who it was, but couldn't see anyone. That night, he just couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, for he was in love with the voice. He wanted to know who it was. But he had no chance, isn't it? Next day morning, he and his mother had to change trains. They got down in a station, and the station was filled with Britishers. He knew he cannot get into the first class compartment that he had booked for both of them. He heard that voice again saying, "Ekhane jagya ache. There is place here." Again, that voice is ringing in my ears, he thought. But he saw a beautiful girl, a woman, calling out, and he knew she was the one. He just rushed into the compartment with his mother. And she said, "Don't you want your luggage?" And took him outside and got the luggage, and they sat down. All Anupam did was look at her. And he also caught that his mother also was looking at her with approval. And in some time, you have to get up from here and go to some other compartment, said a British officer. Anupam was about to get up when the girl said, "Sit down there." She looked at the officer and said, "Why should they go? They have been sitting here and they shall not move." She walked to the end of the compartment with the British officer. Anupam could see that they were having a conversation which turned into a heated argument. And at last she came back and said, "You both can sit here." And she sat down with many small young girls that she had got with her. And they were giggling away. After some time, she got up and the train stopped. Anupam's mom looked at her and said, "Ma, what's your name?" As she was getting down, she looked back and said, "Kalyani." Anupam and his mother just exchanged glances. "What's your father's name?" asked Anupam's mother. "Shambhunath Babu," she said and went away. That's when Anupam realized it was his loss and not hers. He finished the pilgrimage with his mother, came back, but could not live in his house. He left and went to Kolkata, went to Shambhunath Babu's house and was down on his knees. "Please give me Kalyani. I want to marry her and I'm sorry for whatever happened." Shambhunath Babu said, "I have no say in her life. You can go talk to her and I shall do exactly what she wants." That's the father. He went to the room where Kalyani was folding clothes. "Kalyani, I'm extremely sorry for whatever happened. I should have stood up for myself, you and your father. Give me a second chance." "Second chance? You have given me." When the marriage was called off, that is when I realized what is the purpose of my life. It is to educate these young girls of our country, and I shall never marry again. Anupam didn't know what to say. He did not want to convince her. He just shifted his base to Kolkata, stayed there, helped Kalyani in whatever way he could, for he just wanted to be with her in her journey of life, just the way the banks of the river go along with the river. Thank you. I chose this story for Kalyani was a very strong woman, and I'm sure it resonates with how we or women of our generations also go through, isn't it? We put purpose in front of pleasure. Do share your thoughts about the story and what you feel. Tagore portrayed his women as chance takers who definitely resisted all the social norms in that conservative Indian society. They were their own masters. They did what they want with respect, with relationship, politics, and their own ambition. Many women influenced him in his life and in his writing. They were his sisters-in-law, Nanada Nandini and Kadambari Devi. They say Kadambari Devi also played multiple roles in his life: a friend, a mother, and also a very strong critic, and also his muse. The next story is brought to us by Meera Venkateshan, who, just like Tagore for us, is in love with words and she creates magic when she just puts her pen down to write. Over to you, Meera, and she brings us Khoka Babu's Pratyabortan, the return of Khoka Babu.
It was a beautiful day. The sky above seemed happy, having rained down all its tears into the river Padma, flowing playfully, full of water. Cooing and gurgling like a baby, dancing dancing and prancing like a little girl. The high, slightly higher outcrop of rock stood stolid and solid, unaffected by all this enthusiasm, taking in the wonderful fragrance of the flowers which mixed with the smell of the earth. And this was where you would have found the two unlikely friends. The first among them, a little boy, Navakumar, the son of a judge, Anukul, was seated in a pram, dressed like a prince. And the other was on top of the tree at this moment, plucking the beautiful red kadamba flowers for this little boy. The man on the top of the tree was Raicharan, this boy's caretaker. But if you asked Raicharan what was Navakumar to him, he would have said everything. Raicharan had come to this house when he was just 10 years old as a friend, playmate and helper to Navakumar's father, Anukul, and he had stayed on to take care of his son. Why? Just the last year, he had a son, and Raicharan's wife had died at childbirth. Everyone pleaded him to come back and look after that boy. He refused. He could not leave Khoka Babu, the little master, as he used to call him. And so, it was on that boy's request that he had climbed the tree today to pluck the flowers. The little boy, as little boys do, was starting to get impatient. Holding on to the side of the pram, he put one leg over the side and then the other and carefully clambered down. He could hear someone calling out to him, gurgling and cooing. A playmate? Huh? He slowly walked towards the river. Chal, 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 the anklets on his feet making music. And then he reached the edge of the cliff and looked down. He could see fishes swimming. And he bent down to get them. When Raicharan returned, the boy was nowhere to be seen. He couldn't have. No. Kokababu! He called out. He ran into the trees. He looked everywhere. The boy was not there. Where had he gone? What had he done? Ah! When the search party found him, he was clutching his head and babbling. He took Raicharan to the boy's mother. When she saw him, she ran to him, caught hold of his coat and told him, "You took my son for the gold necklace in his neck. I'll give you everything, everything, everything. Just give me back my son." Lady was pulled inside by the woman of the house. What had she said? "Mother, what's failed him?" Anukul, the boy's father, and his friend came out and told him, "You go now, Raicharan. It will take some time for her to heal. Come back after some time." Time? How will time heal a mother's heart or his? He felt himself filled with an emptiness that he had never felt before. Nothing could replace it. He went to the local liquor store and drank till he was filled with it, and staggered home to his village. He collapsed outside the village. Someone saw him, took pity on him, and dragged him and left him in his house. When Raicharan woke up the next day, completely hungover, groggy, the first words that came to his mouth, as you'd have guessed right, "Okababu!" he screamed. And he heard the sound of a child. A little one, just like his little master. Surely no other child would be as pretty as this. He had to be. He took a step towards him. The child laughed, pointing to a little bird on the tree. "Paki, bird," he said. Surely no child could have such a beautiful laugh like this except for his little master. Had he returned? He went up to the child and picked him up. The child started wailing. Surely no child could cry like this, like his little master. He called out to his sister and told her, "You didn't tell me that my little master has returned home. My little master." His sister had been waiting for a year for the father to touch his son, to love his son. What did it matter if he thought he was his little master or his son? She kept quiet. And so it came to be that the little boy grew up as the little master. Raicharan made sure that the boy got whatever he wanted. Toys, books, anything. He was always dressed in perfect Western clothes, like he thought the little master should. As time passed, his sister tried telling him that this boy is your son. "Stop," he would tell her. "You don't know anything. He is my little master, my Kokababu." When the boy was old enough, he sent him to a school in Kolkata. And he used to visit him, giving him gifts, food, anything, even if it meant he had to work himself off till he was so tired. It was on one of those days when he visited the boy in his school at Kolkata that he found that the boy was not really happy with him. In fact, he was quite angry. "What happened, Okababu? You seem to be a little angry with me." "What else, Raicharan? My friends tell me that you lied to me, that you are my father. I am your son. I am not the son of any judge. Is that true?" "Oh, Okababu, how can you say such a thing? I always told you, look at you. Do you look like my son? You are looking like a prince. You are Anukul's son." "Then," said the boy, "why haven't you taken me to see my parents yet? Where are they?" "Yes, I am sorry. I'll take you tomorrow." And so Raicharan took the boy to meet his parents. He asked the boy to stay outside the house and went in. Time had stood still there. A smile had never visited this place in the last 10 years. The lady looked like a living corpse, having spent each and every moment of her life with sadhus and mendicants and astrologers, trying to find where her son was. When she saw Raicharan, her eyes flamed and she ran at him again. "Where is my son?" Anukul stepped out of the house. "Stop. Mother, you are right. I took your son. I brought him back here. The lady started running towards the door. Stop, said Anukul. What are you doing? Wait. What is this, Raicharan? What are you telling? Anukul Babu, I'm telling the truth. The boy is outside. I'll call him. Nabakumar, Ashan, come. And the boy walked in. The judge said, how can I believe you? You ask him, you are the judge, you know. Anukul walked up to the boy. Tell me, who are you? I am Nabakumar, the son of Anukul, a very famous judge. He, Raicharan, has been taking care of me all these years, said the boy with an immaculate language. No sign of guile or lies in his eyes. Anukul was taken aback for a moment, and that was all the time the mother needed. She rushed up to the boy and pulled him to herself, touching his face, his head, his nose, his hands, making up for all the lost time. And she pulled him inside the house. Anukul wanted to stop her. On one hand, he wanted to understand this. He wanted to get to the bottom of the matter. He was a judge after all. On the other hand, was his love for his wife. It had been years since she had seen happiness. Love won. Raicharan, he said, if you have been lying, I will not let this go. But if you are telling the truth, go away from here. Go away from here before I punish you. Anukul Babu, don't say that. I cannot leave Koka Babu alone. The boy, who was with his mother, looked at the scene unfolding and told, Father, why don't you give him some money? It will help him in his old age. What had he said? The boy? Give him money? It couldn't be his little master. He wouldn't talk like this. Maybe he was mistaken. He walked out of the gate, not knowing where he was going. He had said to give him money. Kokababu! He called out. Maybe he was somewhere here. He reached the familiar place, the happy sky, the flowing river, the placid rock, and he could hear someone calling out to him. A child, a happy child. He looked towards the river, Padma. There, his little master. He shuffled towards the river and bent. Koka Babu! This story made me think, what is right? What is wrong? What is wise? What is foolish? Who are we to judge? And I think that was the skill of Tagore as a writer, not to draw on his judgment, but to put it out in front of us so that we could take our own. Tagore had his own share of tragedies in his life. His wife died young. 2 of his children died very young. For him, he felt that the spirituality was what helped him move forward in his life. Please share your thoughts in the chat box as I'm going to call upon our next storyteller, Parvati Ishwaran. Parvati revels in telling stories to all ages, and she can easily mold herself to any audience. And so today, she will be narrating the story Streer Patra, a letter from a wife.
She looked at the vast expanse of water as she sat on the beach of Puri. The waves, hearing the waves just touching the shores, the salty breeze touching her cheeks and her lips. She picked up that letter she had just written to her husband. Thought, let me read it once again. Dear husband, greetings from your wife, Mrinal. It's been 15 years since we got married, and this is the first time I'm writing a letter to you because we never had a necessity because we are always together. I wanted you to come to Puri with me, but Kolkata, how do you leave Kolkata? It is stuck to you. Your body and soul is stuck to it as the snail is stuck to its shell. I always wonder, do you really know me? Do you know that I'm a poet and I have written so many poems? No. For you and your family, I was just Major Bow, the beautiful second bride. Beautiful. Your mother was desperate that she should get the second bride very beautiful because the elder one was plain. Why would you otherwise come all the way to a far off village in search of a beautiful bride? And beauty? Did you love me for this beauty? Of course not. You and your family forgot over a period of time about my beauty. You know, in Bengal, dysentery, jaundice, and bride come to you. You don't have to go behind. They come, stick to you, and get attached to you, and they never leave. But still, you came for me, for this beauty. And I was born with beauty and brains. But nobody appreciated my intellect. I spent my time in the cowshed, playing with the calf and the cow, feeding them, playing with them, so much so that your people, your family, your friends sarcastically made comments that maybe my ancestors were cowherds. And then, and then I, I lost my baby, my girl baby. I didn't even have an opportunity to look at my baby because of the poor conditions. She died as soon as she was born. I spent my life with a heavy heart, moving around, routinely walking everywhere until, until a gentle breeze brought in a beautiful flower. The flower fell on my heart and on my lap. A gentle flower in the form of Bindu. Bindu, who was a sister of my sister in law, very plain looking, and she lost her mother, her father. She was now an orphan. And the male people in your house threw her, sent her away. She came here. You wanted to hold her happy. The sister-in-law, my sister-in-law wanted to keep her happy. But she herself was plain looking, and she herself felt that it was a God given thing that she was a bride in your house. So she treated her like worse than a maid. I took her under my wings. I said, I'll take care. Your family was not happy. You were not happy. But my sister-in-law was, of course, happy. Bindu, Bindu, the little one, the timid one, came to my room trembling. I saw. She was so afraid. She was so ashamed that she was there in this universe. She was worse than a thrush. A thrush can have a place and people can forget about it. But people neither can forget about her, neither can they accept her. And that's how she came to me. I talked to her. I told her nothing to be worried. And slowly, her fears ebbed away, only to create a fear in my heart. A fear gripped me. I've never seen such a love in anybody's eyes for me. Such love, such trust, such hope when she looked at me. She would put ornaments, she would dress me up. Of course, there was no need to dress up. Very occasionally, some functions, I used to dress up. As I told you, I had already forgotten my beauty. But in her eyes, I saw my beauty. She dressed me every day. We used to play with each other. It was so fun. I used to occasionally scold her for being so besotted. But then, in my heart, I felt that with her, I found myself being the true me. It was such a beautiful relationship I had with Bindu. You tried various ways to separate us. Nothing worked. But then fate, fate came in the form of matrimony. Bindu was to get married. And you had found a groom in a far off place. You had also not seen, nobody had seen, even I had not seen. I thought the wedding would happen in my house, in our house, but you saw to it that it didn't happen here, it happened in the groom's place. Bindu came running, hugged me, cried. She said, please don't send me, please don't send me. She fell at her sister's feet and said, Didi, I will do whatever you tell me. Please, please don't leave me. But then she came back and told me again, please. I said, no. In my mind, in my thoughts, I thought maybe what can be worse than this place? She would anyway go to a better place. Can anything be below zero? Right? And this was zero for her. That's what I thought. And I told her, please get married. She agreed. The marriage took place in the groom's place. Of course, I didn't go. I was missing her terribly. I walked all around. 3 days passed. I'm missing Bindu so much. Hope she's happy there. She must be happy there with her new family. They must be treating her like a princess. And I went into the cow shed where I always am there with the cow and other cows. And there, I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that day. I saw Bindu in that corner, huddled and sobbing her heart out. What? Bindu? Here? She looked up and she came running and hugged me, sobbing. I just placed her by my side and asked her, Bindu, you're just gone for 3 days. What happened? He is a lunatic. He is insane. The man I was married to is insane. What? Yes, and they made me go into that room with him. I couldn't. I ran away from there. Please don't send me away, she cried. And Bindu and I looked at her. How dare! How dare you do this to this little girl, innocent girl? I came straight to you and your family when you were in the room and I asked, how could you do this? I'm never ever going to let go Bindu. She will be here. And you said the police will come and arrest. I said, I will go to the court and the court will support me. And I left that place just to be with my Bindu, only to realize Bindu had run away from there back to her in law's place because she didn't want me to give that much trouble. And then one day, a week later, I decided to go to Puri, come to Puri. And I told you, will you come? And you said no. In fact, I was so happy that you were not coming because I had formed a plan. The plan was to bring Bindu. I told my brother to come to the railway station with Bindu. And I waited at the railway station and Bindu waiting for both of them. When I saw only my brother coming in, he looked at me and said, Bindu is no more. She killed herself. With a heavy heart, I climbed on into the train and came to Puri. You You thought, you could crush Bindu under your feet? You and your family thought, but there's something more powerful than that. And that was death. Death gave Bindu the freedom. She is now free, as free spirit. And let me tell you, though I had food, I had clothes, and as a person, you were not bad. There was nothing to complain about you. But I saw what happened to Bindu. I will never ever come to your house. Your major beau, the second bride, dies. Don't worry, I will not kill myself. I'm just going to persevere and live like this. Renal folded the letter and looked into the sea. She could see her life unfolding before. This story, I think many of us may be able to resonate with, though this was written a century ago. Thoughts are there for all of us in one way or the other, in some fashion. Yes. And the thing very interesting about Puri, where the story is set in, or the letter is set in, this is the way where this is the place where Rabindranath Tagore composed Gitanjali, for which he got the Nobel Prize.
And that was the offering of stories from us, Katha Krafters, for today. There are so many more stories of Tagore, and every one of them are so beautiful. And they're not all of them serious. There are a lot of fun, light-hearted, romantic stories too. But of course, this is the time we had to bring them to you. And as we leave, a verse from Tagore. Anaka, you're on mute.
The bees were. Sorry. Yeah. A bee flew into my room humming, telling me how a green creeper awoke in a forest at the stroke of dawn and how a plant blossomed into flowers. It makes me forget my daily chores and draws me into the web of its music.
We hope we were able to take you into the web of Tagore stories today and really thank all of you for coming here, and especially a big thank you to Dr. Eric Miller for giving us this platform to present our special program. And we would love to hear from all of you. Please unmute yourself and tell us your thoughts.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry to say we don't have time for a lot of discussion. People can write messages in the chat section, and also I hope you'll put your email IDs or the group email ID in the chat section, so people can be in touch with you by email. Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay. Does anyone want to say a little something? It was really wonderful. I feel I've been with Rabindranath Tagore for 1 hour, which is a
Thank you.
wonderful
Thank
thing. Anyone else want to respond? Nivedita?
Yeah, I've heard so much of you. I'm a budding storyteller, and I must say, all of you transformed me. You took me to the place I could visualize, I could relate, I could feel the sorrow, I could feel the courage, I could feel the spirit. Each one of them were powerful, well narrated, amazing. I had very good time. These stories will stay back with me, and so will the narration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lot to learn. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nivedita.
Okay, let us stop here. Thank you again. You're a wonderful team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.